Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have your hands. Some more. Just give some more.
Well, hello, and welcome to my whiskey den. Tonight, we are starting a little early, so we want to thank everyone in the chat. Wheels, Spencer, Mav, Icehouse, a couple other people. Thank you for all stopping in a little bit early tonight. We're lucky enough to have Ed from Rock Gut Review coming on, help us taste some gin, and it all came from Fred Swanson and Dancing Goat Distillery, so thank you very much. Now, what we're doing tonight is, if I'm not correct, we're tasting the old Death's Door gin versus the new Death's Door gin. You want to kind of describe what happened with the old and the new?
Well, back in December of 2018, Death's Door Distillery, which was just on the west side of Madison, came up on market, and they had gone bankrupt, and they were for sale, and we were lucky enough to be the winning bidder for that brand, that equipment, those recipes, and we now make two of their products going forward. We make the gin, and then we make a crazy high-end peppermint schnapps called Wonderman. So we had, and I think it's true. I think it's true. My personal opinion, doesn't matter what industry you're in. I think it bears great witness and great attention for any industry. If you're the first person in your area, I think those are really important people. So, for example, in Wisconsin, that would be Guy Rehorst down at Great Lakes. Mad respect for the guy that's first in the game. And then you could extrapolate and say one of the other big players would be the brand or the product, in this case, in distilling, that put your state on the map. And it's not even close. It's Death's Door Gin is what made people take notice in Wisconsin. Now there are other products that have come along and put Wisconsin on the map for other reasons. But Death's Door Gin, and the fact that it was in all 50 states and 10 other countries, put us on the map 12 years ago when that product came out.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty impressive. Just to get anything in all 50 states, let alone different countries, is pretty crazy. So, yeah, like you said, mad respect for just having the wherewithal to push it in all 50 states, because that alone, getting through all the hoops you can do with that, is kind of crazy.
Sure.
Oh, thanks, Matt, for stopping in. He's going to be heading up to where he's going up to where Death's Door is late a couple weeks from now, so he was interested in kind of the gin that it's named after.
There we go. Well, it's funny because, it's going to resonate to maybe you and myself and Ed, because we're in Wisconsin. Maybe not so much for Mike and Ben, but every fourth grade kid in Wisconsin knows what Death's Door means. They might not retain that knowledge, but at the end of Door County, there's a big body of water called Lake Michigan, and the next island over is called Washington Island. And that passageway, that waterway between the island and the tip of that peninsula, Door County, is called Death's Door because there's so many shipwrecks. It's really hard to navigate. It's really treacherous waters. There are, I believe, hundreds of boats from the last few centuries down at the bottom of that passageway. So that's why it's called Death's Door. It does confuse people, I'll be really honest. There are people that look at it, see the word, and think that it's pepper vodka. They associate it with hot and spicy. So also it bears repeating that the distillery was in Madison.
Yep. Yeah.
For your time, I can't tell you how many times people have told me that they've been to the distillery on Washington Island. And what they probably were, they were probably at an event that was sponsored by.
Sure.
Yeah, in the area.
And they just got confused. And in their mind, it's what they did. So, So it's a product that we feel very fortunate to get. It did not seem right for that product to either languish or go away. It also didn't seem right to have it go to a marketing agent that probably was going to take the last 2 years of profits and wring them out, and then kind of slowly bury the brand over time once they got their money out of it. So neither of those seemed right. And as the only producer that was bidding on it, it felt good for us to be able to gain that product into our portfolio.
Yeah, I was just saying that also kind of builds what you guys have there. I know you got Limousine Rye, a big thing for you guys, but also having a really neat kind of a centerpiece gin. And when you go to the distillery to try is also great. So I have a little bit of each kind of put out here. So this is it's the same mash bill and everything from the old distillery and the new distillery, and technically the same stills. After I remember they had to be rehabbed a little bit.
They had to be rehabbed.
They had to be rehabbed a bit.
They had to be cleaned really hard. So, and I'm not here, and I'm not in the business to belittle and besmirch the old owners. I don't want this to turn into a negative about them at all. They were good people. They were friends. I just want to show that we think that we're pretty close to bringing this product back to where it was originally.
Mm-hmm.
What is on the shelves that probably might still be out on a few shelves of product from the old distillery in Middleton is not what we're making. We're making a much more bright, vibrant product that I think will show when we go through in the tasting.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, that's excellent. Yeah. All right.
Well, I was wondering about your, obviously we're going through a pretty hard time for craft distilleries right now. Mm-hmm. Are we going to be do you think we're going to be seeing more bankruptcies along the same lines in the near future, where brands are going to be starting to be picked up by other distilleries?
I've said forever, and I've been tangentially involved in the industry for decades as an event planner and a person that put on large events, be they large beer festivals or fairly large whiskey festivals, spirits festivals. I am shocked that we haven't come through the first crash in American craft distilling already. I was talking about that 10 years ago and thinking it was just around the corner, and it hasn't happened. I do think that the first crash will be very similar to the crash that happened in craft beer. It'll be people that are undercapitalized, just business, excuse me, and then people that are still figuring out their systems, their processes. They might be putting out in their learning curve and their learning thing. They might not be putting out optimal products. And I think those are the people that are most at risk. The rest of craft distilling, I think Big Kentucky is really safe. And I think Big Tennessee is really safe. And I think Big Craft is fairly safe. I think there's two areas, and I think the same thing happens in beer. Small guys that are hyper local, that are really have low capitalization rates, might be at risk. And then people that are what I've always referred to as too big to be small, but too small to take that next step, okay, might be in that really risky category. Kind of the hyper regionals, maybe you could call them. People that might be in 7 states, but are also pretty much on the margins. The great thing that we have is we don't have perishable product. So we don't have to take stuff off the shelf. We don't have to crawl around, beer coolers and kegerators to get our product back out. So with that, and I think now that we're in the summer, we're going to start to see a bigger push. I think people are starting to understand vodka better. I think vodka is always going to be a thing. You're seeing brown spirits rise. You're seeing the rise of rye whiskey. You're seeing bourbon kind of shoot through the roof again. But also, we're in summer, and people are going to look for crushable, easy things to cocktail with. What I would call and cocktails, this and that. Gin and tonic is an and cocktail. Not the hardest thing in the world to make. So people feel pretty confident doing it, and we can kind of talk about that. But did that answer your question, Ed?
Oh, yeah.
I'm worried about any numbers I hear. I think the lowest number I've heard people banding about is 20 to 25%, and the highest is 50. I'm worried about all that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I discussed with a local distiller here in South Carolina, and what they're looking at is they're expecting about 30% of restaurants and bars to close. And that's in a city like Charleston, which is really the culinary capital of the South, basically. And so if you get an area like Charleston that's hit with 30% restaurant closures, that's a huge impact on their business. And that's kind of what they're really watching.
All the producers. I mean, right now, a lot of people are up because liquor stores are up, but we're all flat on bar sales.
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
All the on-prem, we're just totally flat. So, and you you've got so many of us now that many people have not gone back to production outside of hand sanitizer. And when you take that many months off, there's going to be a lag time to getting back into barrels and back into shelves. I mean, it's kind of that, there's going to be that kind of that dip in your portfolio where you didn't have product for, 3 to 6 months in many cases.
Sure.
Yeah, we were talking about that with someone else where they're going to have a gap years down the road, but some of their stuff is going to be also aged an extra 9 months longer than what it usually is. That's what they're like. So we kind of like it in the aspect we got to age it for 9 months longer, but in like 4 years, there's going to be this kind of shitty spot that pops up for us.
Absolutely. And it's going to be the weird spot, and you're going to start to see, I think, more people being acquired. You're going to see more acquisitions. You're going to start to see big major houses buying different things. Yeah. I mean, Moore Hennessy just bought Woodinville. Yeah, I mean, but that was a year or so ago.
Yeah,
but that's where these guys can then. That's how they grow. Okay, it's also kind of how Death Store originally grew. Okay, when they sold to a large rum house, and then we're not able to meet a lot of numbers, quite honestly. So.
Sure. You're centralizing. You're jumping on somebody else's back, and they're carrying you.
Well, it works really well for some people. I think the example would be Leinenkugel's. If you just look at their distribution and their sales went through the roof when they were acquired by Miller. Sure. Okay, I'll state the obvious. I have a real hard time with anybody that lives in a capitalistic society that besmirches and badmouths people that are better at capitalism than they are. So you don't get to beat people up for being better at business than you unless you want to move. So you can say whatever you want about guys that got acquired. They just got acquired. It's the juice. That's all that really matters, right?
There's a point when someone comes calling with so much money and you're like, I can retire. And I guess I'm out, or I'll start my own new thing with this and have the capital to start rather than being in the hole.
Sure, absolutely.
Before we jump too far, I was going to say, and just bring us back around, Spencer was wondering if the new bottles look like the old bottles. Are they very similar?
So there's the old.
Okay.
Okay. Basically the same facet on the bottom. Okay. Same facet on the sides. Here's where the big difference is. It'll no longer say made in Middleton. It'll no longer say made at Death's Door Distillery. It'll no longer say the old owner's name and his signature. The new bottle will look like this.
Pretty close.
That's damn near identical. At the back, which just says Cambridge, Wisconsin, and does not have the owner signature on it. So
it looks a little bit deeper blue too.
It's I could be wrong. But the crazy part is this was our first run at it, and now the second run is the exact same Pantone blue as the original. Now I have to flip bottles, and there's nothing worse than being the guy in the liquor store that's touching all the damn bottles.
Oh,
if I'm trying to figure out whether it's mine or theirs because I can't visually anymore. The blue Pantone was obvious. I'm like, come on. Plus, I think it's a better blue. Darker. I got overruled.
That happens. That happens.
Cool. So, do we want to try the original?
Yeah.
Their version?
Yes.
Yep.
I've already been sniffing on it, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm already happy that it doesn't smell like the gin that my mom tried to serve me when I was just barely 21. I was going to say it does not smell like that, so I'm happy about that.
It's not your great aunt's perfume.
No.
Well, it's one thing I've said. When we acquired this, it's really hard for me to get a Tanqueray drinker to pay attention to this gin because this gin is not what Tanqueray drinkers like. It's easier for me to get somebody that tells me they don't like gin to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different. And so this is the original.
I like it.
It's a mint and like a peppermint.
I was going to say that nose for me is pretty junipery, but I've already taken a sip, and on the taste, I really get a lot more that fennel coriander. It's spicy. It tastes like Indian, like something you'd eat with an Indian dish or like after dinner Indian spices.
Yep.
It's way more that heavy spice than it is just spruce tree.
Mm-hmm.
You got me excited about this because
Pretty oily too.
It's
it smells fresh on the nose.
Yes.
Like, not as deep and as rich. So.
And there's no citrus in here, is there?
No.
You didn't no citrus botanicals. That's crazy because you could have told me there was citrus in this, and I might have believed you.
You're gonna see it in the gin and tonic, okay? Because we're gonna garnish that completely differently than a typical gin and tonic. So
Okay.
and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is the gin that you could argue this one theory forward, and I think it'd be very, very true. They created the category called American Craft Gin. And then they exploited it by going into all 50 states. It was, it is not unheard of for somebody from San Francisco to come to Madison and say, "Oh, I've had that." It's on the back bar of my logo. Okay, somebody up in Seattle. Okay, it's in every airport. But because it created a whole different category that wasn't called London Dry. It was a category that really nobody had ever exploited before. What I like about anything, and this is not our recipe. Okay, we're just trying to perfect it. But it's like Italian cooking. Better ingredients, less of them. Okay, it's like French cooking. You don't need to throw 30 ingredients, throw 30 botanicals. You won't find 27 of them anyway. Okay, do what you do with less, and really hone in on those numbers and those taste profiles.
I'm surprised how creamy it tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was so used to like the sharpness. This is really nicely rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, juniper stands out, coriander's in there, but I'm getting like this kind of really creamy mouthfeel from it.
Awesome. I'm pouring the new one now.
Yeah, I already skipped to the new one, honestly. I'm sorry, I'm running ahead of everybody.
No, that's fine. I'm trying like hell not to give tasting notes because I think those are the best tastings when somebody isn't suggestive. I mean, I can tell you 1,000 things and you'll find most of them. But if I tell you nothing, then you're exploring your own palate. It's way more educational.
Is there a lot of corn in the mash? Or
It's a grain neutral spirit. Okay.
okay,
It's mostly a wheat base.
mostly wheat. Okay.
Oh my god, did you guys sip the new one?
Yes.
No, I have not yet.
Oh my god, I won't say anything until you sip it. Get the fuck in
No,
there though, so I can say
no.
something. All right, I'm not supposed to swear. I
Say
usually
stuff. I'm
swear
gonna
on
sniff
my
it
stream.
for a minute. So
We're 17 minutes in. You're good.
yeah, you can do what you want to do. You're safe.
Fred's gonna let him fly here in just a minute. So
Hold on here.
So, all right.
Yours?
So I'm a self-professed gin idiot, and I really just turned off on so much of the over botanical, over floral gins. There's a couple that I like. One of them's Iron Root, and the other one was Standard Wormwood out of Brooklyn, just because it's so different.
Sure.
The old one, like, I could see myself liking this a lot. It's just very nice. It's neutral, but it's not simple. It was just very well done, but it's not in your face. This is that gin turned up a little bit, and for a person who I typically don't like gin, I really like this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is brighter. I think the second one is brighter, and you get a little more citrus. I don't care if it's in there or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little bit of like halfway through to like 2/3 of the way through. A little bit of that comes through on this. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised I'm enjoying this as much as I am. Not to be mean or anything like that, but I was
We're
really
also drinking gin neat, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, it's not how a lot of people drink gin.
no, but still, like even like compared to putting what I used to be putting drinks for me, this is a completely different ball game.
Right.
So that's fantastic.
I mean,
I got much more of a peppermint note on the new one.
yes,
Okay.
What I
And
noticed,
it is fresher. It's brighter
yeah,
overall.
I was gonna say, the old one reminds me of like straight spice, like actually taking a handful of the ingredients and eating it. This tastes like you actually made it into a candy or something, black licorice or red licorice.
Yeah.
I think the nose on this is 90% kind of the same for me, I would say, but the taste is dramatically different.
yes.
Before I got into whiskey, I was drinking a lot of gin. I was drinking a lot of martinis. I could see making two totally different martinis with this.
Oh, absolutely.
This is because this one it's not
Yeah.
quite sweet. I wouldn't say it's sweet, but it has tastes that remind me of a sweeter thing. Those brighter,
Almost like a light
it
candy coating to it or something,
Right.
like a very
It puts me in
thin
mind of a
layer.
schnapps, almost.
I think the body's a little different. Did anybody notice the body? I think the body's a little thicker in ours.
Yeah.
I think there's a thinness in theirs that is not in ours. I think there's a creaminess that kind of comes through in ours that people have mentioned. A couple of people already said that. It's interesting because fennel only goes two ways for people. And so you've heard of the cilantro soap kind of conundrum for a lot of people. Fennel is kind of in that area, but it's not a allergic reaction. A lot of people for fennel goes right to star anise or licorice. For me, it goes to celery. I go right to celery root.
Really?
Yeah. People that don't like our gin will say it tastes too much like black licorice.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
No.
I hate black licorice, and I will. It does not.
No.
Did not head down that level for me, man. I'm just.
Oh, we never knew.
No, we're really happy with this. I mean, I think we're to the point where we know we're not 100% there yet. I don't think anybody is. I don't think any producer, whiskey producer, artist, anybody, chef, is always completely 100% happy at all times with their recipes. But I think we're 2/3, 3/4 of the way there. Chris is doing a phenomenal job.
Sure.
We're sourcing. We're starting to be very. We've always been. We want to tell a true story at all times. So the story that went around about that store was that it was all local Washington Island wheat and it was all Washington Island juniper. Well, that's just not true. Okay,
Nope.
And we're here to say the bottom line is we will tell you what the story is. When we source it local, we'll put as much in there as we can. We're already making a whiskey with all Wisconsin grains, anyways. But there's not enough wild juniper on Washington Island to make a case of gin. Acreage in wheat up there to make a pallet of gin. So when we can get, and we're trying to reestablish all of our farmer connections that had already been with the old distillery. So we've met with those guys. I think we've signed them on. Unfortunately, a couple of the farmers may have flipped to like lavender instead of cultivating wild juniper. But we'll get what we can when we can during harvest. And it's interesting because juniper, this is something I didn't know until I was in the industry. Juniper is actually not a berry, even though they call it a juniper berry. It's more, it's actually a pine cone. Okay. It's actually a small, tiny pine cone, which is one of those things that obviously flips you into that piney, resiny component of it. But it's not a berry. So it's not any, it doesn't have any of that, the fruit or the seeds. It's more like that pine cone in theory.
Sure.
So, Fred, let me ask you this. I'm just taking a wild shot here, but I'm guessing compared to the new one, compared to the old one, are you guys taking maybe more narrow cuts than what the old one would be? Because what I'm getting out of the old one is kind of this musty grain funk out of it that almost takes away from what the botanicals are. And yours, I'm getting it's much more, I don't use the word pristine, but just more clean, more crisp. The botanicals are more forward. And yeah.
Absolutely. And what we're doing is we're very, very focused on where our cuts are on that. Okay. We're very focused on the cleanliness of that. We're very focused on what that oiliness leads to. Okay. And then one of the things that people don't realize when you distill out your gin, okay, you have a product that's significantly overproofed. Okay. And where one of the big changes for people is you can crash that down to 47. We didn't change the proof on theirs to ours. It's 47 through both. One of the reasons for that is that you look on the shelves, craft gins are at 47. Okay. Navy strength gins are a thing. They cocktail better than anything at 40. Okay. When dilution happens, then you're back to 40. That's the beauty of the 47. It's hard to make a clean product at 47 that doesn't come off hot. It takes us almost 3 days to proof down, and it's not drop by drop, but it is painfully slow to proof that down. And it's analogous to the first time somebody told you to put a roast And when you took it out of the oven, just leave it on the counter for 15 minutes. In your mind, you're thinking, well, that roast is going to be cold when I eat it. So the first time you do that, it doesn't make any sense. And then you start to realize, oh, there's just this slowness that continues. Things are still happening. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happens during dilution is you don't get the sharp edges. If you don't crash dilute and you take your time to bring it down, you don't get those sharp notes, okay, that are constantly in there when you just crack. Now you can crack. We've all said, and you've heard it 100 times, craft distillers start with vodka, they start with gin, they start with stuff that they can sell out of the gate tomorrow. You shouldn't sell gin the day you made it. You shouldn't sell gin the week you made it. You can sell it after time. So it's not one of those instantaneous products. The proofing down is really important. Really important.
And I will say the new one is, I agree with Ben. Where are you, Ben? You're up there. I agree with Ben. The new one is way more pristine. But I kind of like the old one. There is a musty note to it, but I kind of like the old ones. There's a very spiky, peppery kindness to it that I kind of dig, actually. Not to tell you how you do your job, but if you dial that up a little bit on this one, I think that would be awesome.
It's funny because when we had the tasting room before the pandemic, we made what was basically called a compound gin, okay, which was just a steeping infusion-based gin. It's one of the ways you can make gin. You can make it on a pot still, you can make it on a column still, you can do compound. And you would have not been able to tell almost anybody that was at the bar ordering a gin and tonic with our not really gin, which was our vodka, with just a steeping regimen. And that had a ton of funk in it. And I liked it for all those funky notes. But you can play with that. I mean, you can get what you want when you do really tiny levels of infusions, okay? When you're only making a few cases at a time. Katie barred the door and playing around.
Yeah. So. Well, I'll say for me, I've never been a big gin person at all, but these have both been really enjoyable. I mean, that's honestly not vastly experienced, but probably the two best I've had so far. So,
awesome. Yeah. So do you want me to talk about the cocktails? I made two. There's the first one. I made it with typical lime.
Okay.
I also made it with Top Note Classic.
Okay.
And then I made ours with the exact same, with our gin, the exact same Top Note, but garnished very differently.
Okay.
So what's your ratios?
2 ounces.
Okay.
I like that. I like these goopy Saint Germain glasses because they give me about 3 ounces of tonic to 2 ounces of 2 ounces of gin. 2, I think, is a really nice regimen.
Give me a second here.
If I were going to do something with a Navy strength gin, I might go 1.5 ounces.
More here.
Okay. How much tonic you putting in?
About 3 ounces.
Okay. Well, that's good because I got tiny bottle.
Now is the mint just a garnish on the top, or do you like crush it and kind of rub it around a bit and open it up? Or
one of the things that you learn from the culinary world is that, and we have fun with it. We make our maple smash, which is our house cocktail, with mint garnish as well, and we like to say spank the mint. What that does is that releases the oils. If you just pop it into your palm and then one quick smack, that'll bring the oils out, and you'll be able to drop that leaf right in, and the oils will start to integrate into the cocktail.
That's what we want to hear. That's what I was asking, because I know there's some people that will kind of just almost grind it up in their hands to kind of release all of it, and then toss it in.
What'll happen with that a little bit, if you go too aggressive, the oils stay in your hand and don't end up in the cocktail.
Okay.
So
you put the mint in yours?
I left it out to show.
Okay.
And then I just wrapped it and expressed it, and I'm going to drop it down in now.
Okay.
And now it's in my glass.
Shit.
On Dancing Goat's gin.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, damn, I screwed up. I mixed the new and the old. I have to make a whole new cocktail.
And which one did you put the orange in?
I put
it in ours.
Okay.
The Dancing Goat version. And when I can't tell you how many times we've pushed that drink across the bar. We've told people about it. I've sampled it out at different events, and people are like, no, I ordered a gin and tonic, dude. You put oranges and mint in here. And I'm like, yeah, it's on purpose. If Blue Moon did one thing for us, they showed you that if you have coriander in your beer, you accent with orange because it brings the fruity note of coriander right to the center. And it puts that back in balance with juniper, and then the mint brings the fennel around the backside and kind of acts like a cooling agent. And I think it just changes the entire cocktail.
All right, now I've got them. Give me 1 second. I gotta switch glasses here. I had a little tasting bottle of each, and I mixed the old and the new in one of them I was making. So I gotta make them. I gotta make them separate.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. Oh, jeez, did we lose Ben? Or?
I think we lost Ben. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. It's not you. Okay. Hey Ed, can you move your mic for a second?
Move it.
Yeah, you're getting like a weird hum or something for a second there.
Sorry. Hold on. Let me just pop out.
You're good. And we're down to 3.
We're down to 3 big faces.
Gin's taking them out.
All right. Sorry, he'll be back in a second here. All right. I'm gonna do kind of the same one, seeing if they're what the difference is between them. Oops. Oh, and some of us have different. I was had a hard time finding the right top note, so I got the Indian tonic water. So mine's just a titch different.
That's fine. And Top Note is out of Milwaukee. Great local product. Fever Tree is another one that people can find a lot out of Britain. Also just a fantastic product. And everybody seems to be making different versions now of tonic. So you'll see Mediterranean tonic, you'll see Indian tonic, you will see pink tonic, hibiscus tonic.
Just judging by the dry aromatic with floral and citrus notes, I thought it might
It'll probably
work in there as well with what was going on
so
there.
Which cocktail do you recommend trying first?
I go with ours.
Okay.
Because I think it's so different. Because it's counterintuitive because we're so used to the ubiquitous nature of limes being thrown in gin and tonic all the time.
Well, it sure smells good. I can tell you that.
Oh my God, it is so phenomenal on a hot day. Oh
yeah.
Here's the new one.
So yeah, my son started. He just turned 21, but he's been growing a bunch of stuff, and he actually has been growing mint. So this weekend he made a cocktail. Came home Saturday night. And he had all this in a hurry. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I got to make some simple syrup. And this is beyond, he's never done any of this. I mean, he's an Eagle Scout. He's had to go through stuff, but they don't teach you cocktails in Scouts.
In Boy Scouts?
But they, so he makes this simple syrup. He has a whole bag full of lemonades, makes homemade lemonade with the simple syrup, and then pulls his mint. And then, so it was his homemade lemonade with sprig of his mint and a shot of grenadine.
Yep.
And oh my God.
Phenomenal.
Oh, it was so good. And this is like this, it's 95 degrees today.
Yep.
It smells like I'm not going to care.
Right.
Yeah. The orange just bringing it up to your nose, the orange alone makes a completely different entrance.
Oh, yeah.
You're totally getting that. Let's see if we can
You
bring
can
it
find
back.
the coriander. I think you can find the coriander immediately.
Yeah.
Orange is in there.
It almost seems like exactly. It kind of pulls it up and out quite a bit with that. I'm going to pull Ed back on, otherwise I'm going to have him jump off and on. Ben said he lost his internet for a second. He'll be back in a second. I just want to see if Ed's is still giving us a little hold on here. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just hop out and hop back in real quick, Ed.
Yeah. Got a fax machine. Wow, that's really good. You're the new one with the orange and the mint.
It's so nice.
Wow.
Hold on here.
Okay, so what's the difference between a normal tonic like well, this is what I had on hand, it's
Sweet.
just cheap stuff, something like this, and top note.
It's the level of quinine. Okay, typically you'll have a higher percentage of quinine in higher end tonics, and you'll have a better it's better quinine. Okay, now quinine was just a medicinal purifying agent for bad water back in the day. Okay, in the British Isles. So gin was added to make quinine taste good because quinine by itself is so bitter that it's really hard, which is why you're starting to see all the different riffs. Tons of people hate tonic too. The minute you say, you got a lot of gin drinkers that don't drink gin and tonics. And that always blows people away. But that quinine is a bittering agent. It's better quality and it is more focused. I think that, and the other thing too for me is that unless I'm having a party, I never need anything more than 12 ounces. If I end up with a liter of anything, it goes flat. I have to drink it all that night, or I end up drinking a bunch of quinine tonic water that I don't, without anything in it at the end of the night when I'm cleaning up. So it's just the fact that it's better, Mike.
Okay. I'm gonna say I think I like it straight better. I'm not a big tonic person in general, but I think I do get what's coming out of here. I like the fact that the orange brightens it up, the coriander gets deeper and richer. Yeah. And you're getting I think I just don't like the fizz. I'm just not a fizz person when I'm drinking.
There we go. Ed, better.
There. And it's perfect. Sorry about that, Ed. Yeah, yeah, you're good.
Okay. I have no idea what happened. I didn't change anything. I just moved the microphone 2 inches. So
you're all good.
Okay,
we'll blame Ben. He's the one who got kicked out, so it's your fault, Ben.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Internet in South Carolina messing with you guys in Wisconsin.
We lost our balance.
Okay. Now you guys, Mrs. Bill, let you. Did you guys try the first or the second one right away?
I tried the new version.
Okay, so did I. That's the one I tried first.
I went the new version first, mint and orange, and I really like it. That's pretty nice.
It's counterintuitive, but once people put it up to their lips, it's a game changer.
I gotta say, coming to the old one, the old one tastes flat, man. It really does. Not to be a corporate shill and agree with everything Fred says, but no, this first one's really good.
No, the old one for me, that grain funk still comes out in a little bit. I used a Meyer lemon in that one, which plays nice with it, but it's still, I get that grain funkiness. Not saying I don't like the grain funk, it's different.
Yeah, compared to the other one, I mean that's the very few gin and tonics I have to weigh it against. I like that gin and tonic.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know this isn't a traditional gin and tonic, but this one here is. Yeah, that's a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I could sit with this on a hot summer evening here in the South, and that would be really refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and add mint and orange to the old one too at this point.
I did that because I wanted to see what the flavor profile would be between them with the same stuff in them. Yeah. And I think it's like you said, Ed, it's a little bit flatter with the old one. And because I don't like bubbles, I think I like the old one with a little bit less fizz in it.
All right. I guess I'll have to do that.
I think I heard Fred mention this earlier. But you do get more coriander in this new version, which is weird because I thought I got more of that raw coriander taste and in the old version when I drank it neat. But in this cocktail, this comes off as more peppery, spicy, punchy than the old version.
Quite a bit so.
It's interesting because there are, say what you want, there are not a lot of neat gin drinkers. Martinis are a thing, but they're not the way most people would drink their gin. And you're starting to see more fun cocktails. We're starting to go back to things like Negronis. We're starting to kind of sub gin in where we might have tequila in other cocktails, and just kind of people are freeing themselves up to play around a little bit more.
Okay, and Emily's bringing up the fact that if it's flat, try squeezing the peel oil into it.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it a little bit of that here as well, too.
Play around with that a little. Unfortunately, I should have brought my knife in. I wasn't thinking.
Well, the interesting thing is we're dealing with oils both in the peel as well as oils in that leaf, that mint leaf.
Yep.
And if you talk to any chef, herbs should almost exclusively never be knifed, never cut. You want to tear them, okay? And that's again trying to not mute the oils and trying to not mute what that'll bring to a dish and to a cocktail. So if you're gonna slap it, that'll express enough of the oils to get it in your drink. But if you're going to tear it, like if you had a big leaf and you didn't want that much in, try not to use a knife and just go with your fingers on tearing.
There you go.
Ed likes lots of slapping.
Yeah.
And Emily, you were right. Like, I just squeezed a little bit of the rind oil into it, and that brightened up the old one quite a bit.
Did anybody try making either of them with lime in a traditional fashion?
I did on the old one. I did use
Yes.
traditional lime. Yeah.
And I'm drinking that now, and it's just like it smells the way my brain thinks gin and tonic should smell, but I flipped immediately when we started to garnish it differently. One of our owners, who's a master chef and baker and does our cocktail menu, obviously knows what he's doing when we regarnish a classic cocktail.
Guys, I'm going to have to slow down because there's 2 ounces of gin in each of these, and I'm putting this one away. Like,
Yeah, I know that.
man.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm having to pace myself a little bit here because it's easy to want to just suck this right down.
Right?
Hey, that's a summer drink. Is exactly
It
what
really
that is.
is.
Is when you're like, oh, 3 drinks later, you're at a barbecue and you're looking around, you're like, what happened? Someone else better man the grill for a couple minutes. I need to recompose myself. And that's the beauty of summer drinks to me. Is like all of a sudden there's a split second. You're like, shit, what happened? Like, hold on. Like, how much were you putting in here? Like, wow, really?
Well, and it's one of those cocktails that people can feel really confident making. It's not like you need to know shaking ratios. You don't need to know what the feel of the tin, when to stop shaking. You don't need to have 18 different bitters in your bar cabinet. Just regarnish it, and simpler can be just fantastic.
I'll say this: if you got a Meyer lemon to give that a try, it adds like just the right balance of tart and sweet at the same time.
Perfect.
It's really nice.
And there's now we're 20 years ago, you went to a produce section, you wouldn't have found Meyer lemons.
No.
Okay, you wouldn't have found kumquats, you wouldn't have found a lot of things. And now every good mixologist / bartender is using those things in their cocktails.
Wow.
You used to have to wait till summer to get things called herbs, or you had to know somebody with a garden. And the crazy thing about mint is that it makes so many things better in small quantities that don't bring out mintiness per se.
Right.
What that little bit of mint does for me is it helps me find the fennel.
Yeah.
You can focus on it really much easier. It flies it through the background and brings it right to my palate.
Sure. Well, you guys are at a good crossroads here, having this gin and then limousine rye. You're kind of getting a corner on the hipster cocktail market now.
It doesn't hurt that people know it. Okay, it doesn't hurt that people know it. We really are not trying to open up new markets with that. We're just trying to refocus what was being done in those markets. At one point, this was the number 2 selling gin in London for almost 2 years.
That's crazy.
That is nuts. That is the country that invented the product. Okay, they don't drink anything but London dry gin, and it blew up huge over there. So people really like it, and I think people that don't think they like gin can pay attention to it. It makes sense to them. It's not that big. People always want to say, it's like eating a Christmas tree, or it's too sprucey, it's too piney, it's like the North Woods of Wisconsin. You hear all those things, but that's not that. It's
right.
not that.
Well, and America is really changing up the game in terms of that perception of gin. Just using different botanicals, lower amounts of juniper. The barrel-aged gin. That's kind of the perfect hybrid, bastard baby for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, you can start to. take that barrel-aged gin and sub it into an old-fashioned, and it's a total game changer. It's not that it's better. It's just that it's one more thing to play with. I think the mule is what allowed people to feel confident subbing in different alcohols for traditional.
Oh, God, yes.
And that was the one where people immediately made sense to them. You see people all the time at the bars, I need a tequila mule. I need a whiskey mule. Okay, and they're fine with it. But there's, very few ingredients, less of them, make it with good ingredients, and it's a totally different drink. It doesn't always have to be a vodka drink.
So speaking of the barrel-aged gins, is that anything happening there in Wisconsin with that?
We have some of those barrels, yes.
Would it be a limousine rye?
It would be
barrel?
very similar. It'd be very similar.
Yeah.
Yep, it'd be very similar. It'd be in a used barrel, obviously. I don't like barrel-aged gins that are overly oaked, okay? I like there to be just some subtlety to that, just kind of a rounding to the gin. I've tasted a lot that have gone too far in my mind, and they didn't do anything for me. And then they just kind of end up in my cocktail cabinet, and I've, what do I do with this now?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think you go too far. It's like anything, you can go too far.
I think with the gins you guys are doing and some of the other ones, you're getting such kind of lighter, a little bit more nuanced flavors, even though they can be potent, that like the oak would kill some of it. So I like you were saying, like you just kind of adding like another layer or two at the back end of it to kind of bump it up a notch to give it a little more complexity rather than letting the oak be the star of the show.
Totally. And we've all had, I will argue till I'm blue in the face that the most disappointing dram I'd ever had was Pappy Van Winkle 23. Not because it was bad.
Yeah.
It was overhyped.
Yes.
And over oaked by 8 damn years. Because the 15 is the star in that portfolio. Maybe the rye.
I agree completely with that because we've had that discussion here about how the Pappy itself it's just everyone with me, anytime anyone hypes something up, TV show, liquor, anything, by the time I go to it, if I'm going to pay that much for it, I almost expect to be blown away in my seat. Right. Where if I had come in and just been like, oh, surprise, like this was a surprise. It like you said, the Pappy 15, it's really nice. It's not $1,200 a bottle nice to me. Like if you can get it at MSRP, wonderful. But like I don't know. Yeah, the overhyping really does kind of play, and it'll make me stay away from things for a while. Is my problem. I'll be like, there's too many people talking too much great stuff about it. Like even TV shows, I'll stay away from a TV show till it's almost canceled and go back and be like, damn, everyone was right. Like
like I still haven't watched Game of Thrones, right?
Hold on here.
I do think there are certain spirits that work well as tannic bombs. I think a lot of the stuff coming out of Texas right now works very well with those big tannics, wood spice notes. But for an Irish whiskey, I've always said I think Redbreast 21 is far inferior to like Redbreast 12 cask strength. Simply because there are some things that don't work well with an excessive amount of tannin.
Well, why would you want to be a category that is known for balance and subtlety and then suddenly Americanize it? Okay. And that's what I think that 21 is. Is I think you push too hard to be too perfect, too kitschy, I think when you do something like that, you think you understand the market maybe more than you actually do.
Sure. Well, there's a certain section of the market that, and I've said this before, and it's not exactly the most erudite comment, but really loves jacking it to age statements. And there's a cynical move to capitalize on that,
Yeah. Well, once you start seeing 20, 21, 25, you're like, you can just get excited to like I said, this should blow me away.
Right.
Like, just by tasting it, I should be like, huh, you're in my top 10. Like you should just, and then like you have it and you're like, damn it. Like I wish I had picked up this other bottle that was $40. You're like, cause just the difference makes a big deal.
Right. To a certain extent, you're fetishizing rarity and age as opposed to actual taste.
Yes. Okay, this is dangerous because I am going back to this quite a bit.
I know. Look at me. Look at me.
So just for fun comparison, this is Bull Rush Gin, which is from our local 6 and 20 distillery here. And I know for a fact they use lavender in theirs, but just decided to make one to have a comparison, kind of an odd gin, and see what the difference is. And it's a big difference. I mean, not saying this is a bad gin, but it's definitely, it's way darker than even the original Death Store gin is in flavor. There's a little bit more of a, I don't say the grain funk, it's a little bit different, but not getting much of the botanicals out of it at all in with the tonic. So
even the smell of lavender for me gets, I don't know, overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's probably what I'm getting the most out of it.
Ben, does that list the number of botanicals?
Let me
Is
see.
it the botanicals? You can count them?
Yeah, no, well, here you go. Juniper berries, coriander, angelica, citrus peels, lavender, ginger, and other specially sourced botanicals, but they don't give you the number.
Got it. Well, you're at 7 before they stopped counting.
Yeah.
Yeah, juniper berries are not actually a berry, Ben.
Yeah.
I did because we are who we are, and Ed's here. I did take the remainder of the 3 cocktails that I made.
You blended them?
The remainder of them.
The remainder, because I started a 4th. But this is really good.
It's your infinity.
I'm going to drop out for a second. I'm going to go see how Erica likes this. She usually hates gin, so I'll be right back. Up
Sweet.
Well, Fred, you just created a gin and tonic fan tonight.
Good.
Absolutely.
You made 2 for sure.
Yeah.
What I like about it is that it should be easily sourced. I believe that we're in both of your states. I know we're in Mike's, but I'm pretty sure, Ben, we're in yours. All you'd have to do is ask your local guy.
I know we have the limousine ride locally because I can get that, and I have gotten that. But,
we're in Virginia.
So how could we, like, if I saw an old one on the shelf, how would I tell the difference between the old and the new one?
The old one will say Middleton on the back, and it'll have the owner's signature.
Okay.
Brian's signature will be on there.
Okay.
The new ones say Dancing Goat, Cambridge, Wisconsin.
Okay.
But they're sitting on the shelves at about, so we do that in 750s liters and 1.75s for the hardcore gin folks.
Holy crap. Sorry.
There's some people that buy it by the handle.
Don't judge, Patrick.
I'm not judging. I'm just like, damn, that's a lot of gin to be picking up. Like, I can see it now.
It'll be around $30. It'll be around $32 on the shelf.
Okay.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, Fred. Now you're just getting people in trouble.
Now you're just screwing around. Yeah. No, we're really happy with that. We really think that that as we start to continue to source and tweak, you got to remember we're learning a whole new still. It's a weird little still. It's a kind of a hybridized pot column. It's got some plates at the top of it off the bottom pot. So it is a weird still, and it just takes getting used to that, and then kind of dialing in the recipe and sourcing even better ingredients every single time. We're going to make some really cool gin coming forward.
I think the cuts you guys are making makes a significant difference. I was like, since you're using the same recipe, the cuts you're making just makes it brighter and a little bit more exciting. And like I said, it's not the peppery kind of punch you're getting from the old one, but the other spices seem to come through a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're excited by it. And it's the nice thing, we can take our spent botanicals and send them to the local kombucha maker, our friends at Nasawa Kombucha, and they make a juniper rose with hibiscus, and it's freaking phenomenal. And then we backfill it with even more gin for a different cocktail. So,
neat.
It's a really cool kombucha cocktail, because kombucha is a bitter beverage anyways in a lot of ways. So
I've always been curious, when you're loading up a gin basket, right? I mean, you're loading it up with all the botanicals all at once, right?
Yep.
Is there a strategy to which goes in first, how you pack it, what goes on there?
We have played with all different packing regimens. We've played with a little looser to really tight. You loosen it up a little bit, and you get much more effect. If it's too packed in there, you're not going to maybe get as much out of the inside. Okay, the very core of that basket. We've layered it and stratified it in different ways, and I think Chris continues to play with that today. I don't know if we're making gin this week. Might be back to making gin this week. So yeah, to answer your question, Ed, we have not figured out exactly, but I think he has settled on what he likes. But it seems like such a waste to take that. This basket is the size of my torso. Okay, so it's a big basket.
That is sizable compared to other people's.
Right. So it's a lot of and then it's heavy because it's all wet. But if we can pack those into crates and ship them over to our friends at the Booch factory, that's pretty awesome, because then they just unbraid that whole thing and then they remake another product with it. So
That's nice.
And then we come right behind and throw more gin on it. So
Icehouse is wondering if you guys know when your distillery may be opening, because he wants to do a distillery tour this summer.
got it. We right now, so I can answer that in probably 6 minutes. But right now we're closed because of the pandemic. We were closed prior to that because the distillery, we typically shut down for cleaning in December. So we've been closed over 6 months. We're also, as of this week, we're breaking ground on a 19,000 square foot addition to the back side of the building, and everything in production is going to be walled off with visqueen. And we're going to continue to have to hop around from side to side. We're going to have a construction side and a clean side, dirty side, clean side. We are hoping that we can open by the middle of the summer. But to answer Icehouse's question even more extensively, we're going to have a brand new tour path that's up above the process. So it'll be right below the ceiling. So it'll be at about 20 feet. So you'll be able to look down on the process as you can do a self-guided tour or book yourself into a guided tour. The other thing that we're doing, we bought 20 individual stills like we had talked about on a different stream. We bought 20 individual stills, and we're going to be running gin schools. So you come and you leave with your own bottle of gin after we talk through a botanical recipe. We'll have all the botanicals for you to pick from. We'll keep your recipe on file so you can actually go in, make it, and then come back 6 months later and say, I need a case. And then we'll have one of the assistant distillers probably just go up and make you a personal case using your old recipe.
That's fantastic.
So if you're in Europe right now, we hope to have it up and running and be the first in the States to be able to do it. But it's one of those things to give people hands-on activities. We're going to do that. We're going to be leading some cocktail classes. We have 2 massive bottle fillers, so you'll be able to do kind of like what you might be able to do. I think most people would be familiar with, filling your own bottles, say at Maker's Mark, or some of the typical Louisville Whiskey Row distillers. You can kind of fill your own bottle. We've got 2 massive fillers right now in the bar area, so you'll be able to fill your own bottles right there at the distillery as well. So that's Icehouse. That's what's going on. And then if you come in the fall, you'll be able to pop over and see the first actual Kentucky rickhouse that's going to be built in Wisconsin going up, and hopefully we'll have that one closed out by the end of the year, and we'll start loading it by the end of the year.
That's what I was going to talk to you about. I'm like, because that's something that is not a lot of other distilleries have not even a dream of doing. And you guys were going to do like 5, or was it? We're
doing 5 25,000 barrel rickhouses.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's
it's not to say that Cleary buildings or farm buildings or other buildings are inferior, but there's a reason that rickhouses are built the way they are in Kentucky, because they're living, breathing vehicles. Okay. They're open to far too many rickhouses that are being used are closed. They might not be heated, but they're closed. We're trying to not only dig down so that our first level is below in a basement capacity, because we really want to see what that does to barrels, to be subterranean. And people forget that, we have 100-degree swings in Wisconsin through any calendar year. It gets really hot in Kentucky, but it usually doesn't swing 100 degrees.
Right.
It swings 50, and it certainly doesn't swing in Scotland any more than 50 or 60 degrees in any given. So we're very excited to see what this does. And the only other outside of Kentucky, there's one distillery in Dallas that had the same family come up and build the Ritz. One of the cool things we're going to do is we're going to do a time lapse on our website.
Nice.
So you can see it being built in 2 or 3 minutes, because they come right on site and they build a mill. Okay. And they just mill all the wood right there. And the family just works with each other. They stay until it's done. They help you load the first few barrels. And it's funny because people think you just load. We have to load left to right, front to back. The whole thing has to work in concert with all the other pieces, because it has to stay level. It can't.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to put on one side.
It's a ton of weight. And in our distillers, most distillers don't have that level of experience yet in rolling a barrel down from whatever point, wherever you're at, so that it ends up bung up. Okay. We just, we're not loading. Craft distillers are typically not loading the way Kentucky loads. So it'll be fun to watch our distillers play around. They are super excited to start loading that and learning that technique. I can't tell you how excited we are for our future going forward. So
yeah, I'm super excited, and if you need to be someone in charge of the barrel room, I can come down and take care of one of the rick houses for you, because there's different. Maybe this one down on the bottom floor is way different than the one on the top. Like we need to go to section H, middle of the thing, and find this. This is the barrel for you folks.
You're going to find Patty in the back just completely blitzed.
Yeah.
Only if there's a bunch of angel share in the rick house. There's a bunch of angels.
Pat can fit in between the barrels too.
Ed, what was the feedback from your gal?
Oh, she liked it. She liked it. Yeah, no, she thought the orange was very nice. She thought the orange was
nice.
The way to go.
Perfect.
Emily's approval is a big deal.
Who?
I'm sorry,
Erica.
My God. See, that's my problem. Is
she's not watching the stream.
I hope not. But I have had a few drinks, and then we have to go on to Whiskey Crusaders after this, which is just a horrifically scary event now that I've already gotten a name wrong. So that my apologies, Erica. My bad. I feel like I'm going to get hit next time we go to Distill America. Or I see you guys.
That's awesome. Well, it's not as bad as Ed could have gotten it wrong. That would have been
yeah. There you go.
There probably would have been something flying across the room and hit him in the head.
Yeah. And I'm going to blame it because Emily was in the chat, and that's who I was thinking about. Okay. I'll blame it on that because maybe that and the drinks kind of all affected me right now. But no, that's the exciting part I think about Dancing Goats. When you guys started, you guys were like, we're going to aim big right away to compete with some stuff. So I always like that about that. Now we are getting kind of close to just crossed an hour. 9 o'clock. We got to jump over to Whiskey Crusaders because we're going to be doing a blended Scotch night with them. Nice. So we got to jump over there in a little bit. So I want to go over a couple of small things before we let everyone go. First off, we want to congratulate, because we had a little contest to see who would be getting some samples sent out of Kilkeegan single malt, the cast strength, and the apple brandy finish, and 2 or 3 other things. And on the Instagram side, it was Tony Corwin. Now, Instagram, I'm sorry, you people need some help. You guys can click the like button, but you do not follow rules very well after that. You guys are terrible at it. Like, I just want to help you out when we say name 3 of your friends, put them in there. Now, Facebook, you guys did an excellent job on that side of it. So on that side, give me 1 second. I'll come back with a name.
Ed O'Mara.
Number 12. AJ Lopez. You get to win that.
Nice.
Sorry, there was about 25 people in that one, and you picked that. So thank you to everyone who participated properly in Facebook. We love you for doing it appropriately and following the rules. And all the people who joined the channel and stuff like that, really appreciate you. But, just want to congratulate you guys for doing it properly. And AJ, good luck to you. Get those sent out to the mail to both of you. Well, I think they're both in Texas. I feel like we shunned the rest of the country just in this little section, but that's okay. So what do you have going on? Like we already kind of went over a lot this summer, Fred. Is there anything else you want to plug? You got a couple minutes on the end of the show here.
Sure. I think one of the cool things that we're doing right now, we don't know if it'll work out or not. We're just kind of playing around. Now that we're making hand sanitizer with a bunch of old beer, we're throwing it into barrels. We're making whiskey out of it as well, and we're going to see what that turns into. There's a lot of people making, technically, to make virtually a lot of different things. You have to either make wine first or you have to make beer first to get your spirit categories kind of tick. But we're kind of playing with what might be the first Coors Light version of whiskey. So
that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
It'll be fun, and we did spend many, many weeks distilling green Coors Light because it never made it out for St. Patrick's Day down to State Street in Madison. So when St. Patty's Day was canceled, all those kegs of green Coors Light came to us. So we're screwing around with that. We're playing around. We're also doing for our cocktailing. You guys, we've talked a bunch of times, I think, about our barrel-aged syrup that we make, the barrel-aged maple syrup. We're also doing barrel-aged honey for a cocktailing program with local Wisconsin beekeepers. So that, I think, is going to be really super fun. We'll see where that lands in cocktails. I think Bee's Knees will be fun with that kind of any sort of honey cap or any of those kind of cocktails that would come through with honey might be enhanced with a barrel-aged version of honey. I don't know a lot of people that make barrel-aged honey, so we might be kind of on the front end of that new thing. We're going to continue to play around with different vodkas that will be available at the distillery only. But we're hoping that within the next year, we'll be on a new tour path. You'll be able to sign up for cocktail classes. You'll be able to sign up for gin school. I'll have hopefully maybe a new office on the second floor. So yeah, it'll be it's a really fun time. I did hear this. Now that we're talking about Door County, I'd never heard this story from the owners before. We had originally talked about putting goats in a pole barn next to the distillery until one restaurateur caught wind of the fact that we were going to put our goats on the roof.
Oh.
And sent a cease and desist letter to us.
Yep.
I would believe that.
I know which one. We all do.
Yeah, we know which one had happened. I was just there this weekend.
Have them on the roof. You can't have them on the roof. They own just like Maker's Mark owns Red Wax. Yeah. You can't have goats on roofs.
Wow. I did not.
I think it'd be fun because all of us have dogs. We always bring our dogs to the distillery. They don't go into the process area. They stay in the bar and the office area now. It'd just be great to put a dog run out there, have some crazy goats running around. One more reason to bring your kids and your family out. So
I would love that. I'm going to come pet all the goats.
Yeah.
You make me feel so much better because there's a distillery here in town that their first location they opened, they had goats on the roof. And I thought it was such a redneck South Carolina thing.
No, we're not. No.
Your ass are up here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. There's definitely a place in Door County where I was this weekend that they're on the roof. So will there be a ramp? Can they be on a ramp?
If you don't put them on the roof yourself,
you like to build a castle. The buildings that have the ramps on the outside that go like in, they look like big gerbil things.
And you can put on the little outfits. It'd be so cool.
We've got dogs from Chihuahuas to Spaniels to big labs. I just would love to see what the hell the dogs think of those dogs. So.
No doubt.
That's just a whole extra vibe to the distillery that I wasn't even prepared for. So that's really sweet.
I mean, it's us kind of playing around and having fun, and just we're making booze for a living, so let's have fun while we do it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And Ed, we know you have a show coming up on Thursday. What else is going on with you? Oh, before we leave, before anyone leaves, go over to Ed's channel and subscribe. I don't know if you hit the 1,000 mark yet, but you are really damn close.
We are.
So get your ass over there and subscribe to Ed's channel.
I think we're like 16 away from a grand.
That's what we mean. Get over there and do that.
Yeah,
Make
so
it
if
happen.
you haven't subscribed, please do. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. I have no idea what our show this Thursday is going to be. We usually wait till like Wednesday to come up with the show. But yeah, we've got another how to pretend video coming out tomorrow. So stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Sorry if you haven't seen that, man. That is just right on the edge of picking on people, and I love it so much.
I like to think it's good-natured ribbing.
Just quit it, man. That's the best entertainment on YouTube right now.
If you don't really enjoy Scotch, how to fake you enjoy Scotch? It's fantastic. So
what did I watch? And I listened to it. They were only in round 3, Bourbon Banter. The Bourbon Banter guys are on their 3rd podcast now, and I've never heard a podcast that takes the gloves off like these guys take the gloves off. I'm like, what? I mean, they're calling people out. They're calling bullshit on bullshit. They're pretty forward. I was like, wow, who's going to empty bottles anymore?
Well, that's something that a lot of people don't do. And you get that little bit of controversy where people are being like just blatantly dropping the hammer on things, and that'll pull you around as well too.
Yeah.
They actually have a segment in all 3 episodes, and it's something like some of the shit we were fucking forced to drink. Wow.
I think that's my entire show, you guys.
Sometimes it's voluntary with you, Ed, though. Like, I'll try it. You fucking give it a whirl. But we are getting dangerously close to having to hop on the other stream. So, Fred, thank you for coming on. We always love having you on. You're always very knowledgeable and giving everyone in the chat a lot of knowledge about your product, everything. We love having you on. Ed, thanks for stopping in. We knew you knew more than gin than we did about this.
Oh, yeah. I got to drink a bunch of free gin. I'm not complaining.
Is that your 2nd or 3rd gin that's going down now?
3rd?
Yeah, so that's why I'm concerned about the next stream. You, man. I'm in the same scary boat because Matt and Will and Sarah I've been on there and they'll do 18 or 20 drinks a night, so it's kind of scary right now. But thank you everyone for stopping in, and we really appreciate it. You guys have a good night, and we will see you next time Monday night. Thanks for stopping in, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Just give me some more. Have it in. Give me some more. Just give me some more.